Hello YouTube, GreatRJ1 here, and if you didn't see the title of the video already, this is a hero guide on Darth Vader for Battlefront 2015 on heroes versus villains. I will be using gameplay from the mode skirmish, just so it's easier for me to get the footage. So yeah, now let's get into it. We'll begin with the main things with him, and then we'll get into his main strategy and gameplay. So Vader is the only dark side lightsaber hero, and one of only 2 saber heroes in the game. He's meant to be played at close range, so this is why being near heroes like Palpatine will give you an advantage, since he can give health if Vader needs it. However, he does not always need help if he's having to 1v1 Luke, as it isn't often really that needed if you're 1v1ing a Luke. He has 160 health, which is the most health out of any hero in the game, and the most health in the game for a survivability. And unlike Chewie, this does not make him feel like he has lower health than he actually does. So yeah. Now he has 3 abilities, and his main weapon is his lightsaber that he uses in the movies and the TV shows. Now this has infinite swings like Luke's, and also has a block like Luke, and unlike Palpatine, he can actually deflect shots like Luke. So he and Luke's block are pretty much just work the same way. I think the only difference for them is how long he can block for, and he can block for 7 seconds, and then once you run out and have to kind of do it again, and then it goes from half, then you'll have 4 seconds on the block timer. Keep in mind, all these seconds are just rough assumptions, not actually what they are, so do keep that in mind. He has 3 abilities like every other hero. The first one is Force Choke. For heroes, this will only really give them a small stun. However, for the guards and enemy troopers, this will raise them in the air and kill them with no way for them to escape it. However, keep in mind the kill can be stolen, because it doesn't immediately give the kill. They have to be raised in the air and then have it done. So do keep that in mind. Then it has a 6-second cooldown. The middle ability, Heavy Strike, this makes him do a swing that covers a large distance and makes him hit any enemies in his way. This should only ever be used on Luke in heroes versus villains, because that's all it's really good for stunning Luke when you can't get past his block, which is what you should always be using this ability for, just stunning Luke. So always leave it for Luke. As an 11-second cooldown. And the last ability is Saber Throw. He throws his lightsaber, hitting any enemy in his way. This has a 7-second cooldown, and it basically works the same way as Force Choke, except it has the same amount of range, and it doesn't lift enemies in the air, and will immediately one-shot any troopers that it comes into contact with. He has a trait, and this one allows him to have damage reduction with the more enemies near him. It gives him 20% for 1 to 2 enemies. Then it gives 50% for 3 to 4 enemies, and then 80% for 5+ enemies. Now with those basics out of the way, we can now get to how to play him. So he's a more sneak about the map with your team character. You cannot really charge into battle with him and expect to do well. Yes, that high health and damage reduction does help improve how he plays. However, it doesn't improve him so much that he can actually carry on always attacking the enemies, taking little damage, because he can die really fast if you're not playing smartly with your team. That's the big thing of Battlefront 2015. It's very much a team game, and so that's how you should always be playing Vader, as if he's a team hero, but don't play him like a hero like Palpatine, as that will just make him worse, because Palpatine's more of a support hero, while Vader is more of the leader of the dark side heroes. He basically helps out with the much larger jobs than taking out the enemies, a bit like Palpatine, but he can handle some jobs that Palpatine can't, like Luke. So this is basically a thing with Vader that you're going to notice a lot in his gameplay, how he can handle situations that Palpatine is not very capable on doing. However, he and Palpatine share similarities with their gameplay styles. This is a thing you might begin to notice in the gameplay, that they share a very similar gameplay, however it's also quite different. Now, he's pretty much, in my opinion, one of the only heroes, if not the only hero, that can handle Luke without taking too much damage. And if he does, if he does take damage, he'll either die or come out with very little health left. This is why it's useful to be near heroes like Palpatine and having Palpatine help you out. Now, Palpatine's a very common pick, and usually the Palpatine players are good, so you should be having a good chance on winning if there's Palpatine. If not, you're going to have to rely on the other heroes, and Palpatine's probably the strongest dark side hero when it comes to team playing, so do keep that in mind. So always stay near Palpatine if you want to survive. If there's no Palpatine, then just stay near the teammate heroes you have. Now, I never recommend trying to charge a Chewie, because Vader will not be able to handle him without having a good chance on dying. So you should never really charge Chewie, because he's going to have a harder time getting to kill Chewie, especially since he's more close range, and the only way he can attack enemies from range is by deflecting the blaster bolts at them, or by throwing their saber at the enemies. And it does have its limited, and it does have range. However, it's also rather limited. It can go far, like its force choke. However, this is mainly its more long range attack for his saber throw, so I recommend using that for long range attacks, or for when you're out of your block, as this can allow you to still attack your enemies while they're out of range, or while you're low on your blocking stamina, but you have to still defend yourself. If this is combined with force choke, you can steal a bit of damage to that one enemy. Keep in mind, this can only really hit one enemy unless they're really close together. Now, Vader, while he's very tanky, he cannot handle multiple heroes at one time. He's not like in Battlefront 2, where he can block a ton of shots with one ability activated. He's not that strong, and he's not as if he's not as strong as and he's not like the support hero that Palpatine is. He's very much in between, very powerful, but also very delicate if not played right. Now, Vader is quite easy to get the hang of, so as long as you're staying near your teammates and playing smartly, then you should be having a good chance with winning as Vader. Basically, don't ever try and charge the enemy. Always charge, if you are going to, then make sure Palpatine or your teammates are. Now, Palpatine should always be trying to follow Vader, as he will be a good hero to stay by. So if the Palpatine is playing smart, he should be following you. So yeah, That's pretty much really all you have to do as Vader to be successful. Play with your team, try not to charge any enemies, and as long as you make sure you're staying near your hero teammates, then you should be doing well. So yeah, it's pretty simple to play Vader. Just make sure you basically don't mess up on the team playing part, because that's a vital part to Vader's play style. If he does not play with his teammates, he is going to struggle, because he does not have the help that he needs, because he's not that kind of tanky hero that can take on any hero and come out with at least a couple health left. He's more of a hero that he can handle Luke, but struggles to take on other heroes due to the rest of the heroes being long range. This is the issue with Vader. He can't go to long range engagements, which is why heroes like Bosk, Boba and Palpatine can really help, because they have at least some kind of long range attack and they can get to locations fast, like Palpatine, unlike Vader where he has very slow movement and has no way to get to locations fast, and his only long range attack is the lightsaber throw, which, while it has its range, it does become a bit harder when you're at extreme range and nothing can hit them apart from deflecting blaster bolts. And then if you're not being shot at, then you're basically hopeless on attacking your enemies. Basically, just play smart. Do not even attack Luke, and just use your heavy strike to break his block. Use your ability to break Luke's block, otherwise you're going to get staggered and likely die by him, because that's not what you want as Vader. Because getting attacked with a lightsaber, attacking with your lightsaber against a blocking hero, stuns yourself. Now, unless you're Palpatine, where you can attack a blocking hero, and any hero that's basically not Vader or Luke, you can attack the hero and not get stunned. But if you are Vader and Luke, then you can stun each other if you attack their block, which is not good because it leaves you open for an attack which you do not want. And these can bring you to quite low health if you're not careful. So basically with Vader, like I've said before, just play it carefully. Make sure you're playing with your team. He's not that hero, like I said before, that you can really just charge with. Basically, all I can really recommend from now on is the maps, heroes to look out for and heroes to be with. For the heroes to be with, I'll say Palpatine is probably your best option, and maybe Bosk. Those are usually going to be your best options for being successful. Now, other heroes like Krennic are also very good to be by, since they are also quite weak alone. However, they can be very effective if they're being playing to, if a lot of the other heroes are playing together with them. And Krennic, he can be very helpful when it comes to fighting other heroes. He's more of a hero that's at distance, so if you're always trying to protect him at close up, when you're close up to an enemy, that can kind of help him, so he can kind of snipe the enemies and help stagger them for you with his armor breaker. So yeah, and now the maps and enemies to look out for. I recommend looking out for basically Lando and Chewie. Lando, he's not as much as a threat to you as he will be for Greedo and Palpatine, since the Power Blast is not as effective on Vader for how much health he has. However, it can still be quite effective. And yeah, you should always really be looking out for Lando, even though he's not as big as a threat. However, getting close up to him, it can be dangerous due to him not being the best at close-up engagements without help. So if you're 1v1ing a Lando, you may want to try and attack him from range. While not being at so much range, Lando has the advantage. It's kind of difficult to kill Lando because of how he has to stay at range, and we'll only ever and smart Lando players will only ever get up close with their team. So that is kind of hard. So what I recommend is getting close to the Lando with your team, or baiting the Lando to you. That's really the best things I can really recommend. Chewbacca, really, he basically has a fast attack that goes through blocks with every main shot, and that is literally his main attack. So it's not really smart to attack Chewie as Vader, despite how much health he has. He has about 50 more health than Chewie, I'm pretty sure. However, I just still recommend looking out for Chewie, because he can be quite dangerous if you're not being that careful. So yeah, especially when he does his roar, because that basically gives him a ton more health because of his damage reduction. So yeah, you should basically be looking out for those heroes. If there's one more hero I should say you could look out for, well, two more really, because these are the two I really recommend trying to look out for no matter what. That would be Leia and Luke. Probably more likely Luke. However, Leia does bring a bit of a threat with her Trooper Bane ability, which is meant to that can stun any hero. And Vader, then he can't really do anything against it. He can't block it. So this does give him a bit of a unfair way to try and get close up, because he is going to get stunned while trying to get close up, and that's going to prove to be difficult for Vader. For Luke, mainly just because if you get into a 1v1 with him, he's going to struggle. So yeah, anyways, that's really it. The best maps, I'd say, they are probably just, they likely are just probably, I would say they're just probably, this, he can do well on any map really, as long as you're playing correctly. He can do well. If I had to pick a best map, then I think the Imperial base on Sullust is probably his best map. That's really good for any hero. It has open spaces, corridors, so you can favour pretty much any hero in the way they need. So that's probably the best map for a new hero. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys